Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you again so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look here at Solana, see what's going on. This coin is performing, well, pretty much par for the course. As far as a weekend is concerned, we've seen some sideways action coming up to that more recent resistance range, about 155, and tentatively rejecting. We'll talk about that here in a minute. It's not a definitive line, but it was a previous high turned into a new resistance, so we're going to discuss that. Quick congrats to our community members for some nice profits on our short there for Bitcoin. That's a swing trade short there in 21 hours. But more importantly, our day trading community here is killing it. Matic, BNB, ETH, Matic, where are we at? XRP. We keep going, AVAX, ETH, BNB. So great job, trading bot. Thank you so much for your service. Absolutely appreciate it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the backend data, kind of see what's going on and kind of go from there and just see where we're at here. So when it comes to Solana, there is not a tremendous amount of liquidation left to the upside, but it's starting to increase. If we take a look here, this used to be pretty sparse, but in the last 7 days, we can see a lot of longs at about 150. That may be the next statistic. Okay, so again, keep in mind higher amounts of liquidation to the downside and the overall trend of the market kind of topping out and likely to pull back a little bit. I think it would make sense for us to see Solana decrease and sweep that 150 mark. Now, it's not that far away. It's only about $4 away, so it's a small percent considering. But generally speaking, there's a decent chance you could find some success shorting to that level. I originally wanted to short at 155. We'll discuss as to why that may have changed, but we're also going to double check a couple things here too. This is the monthly. We can see, just as a rough estimate, 915 million at 149. 700 million at low 149 and upper 148, right around 616. So that's approximately 2 billion in liquidation at 158 to 148. Sorry, 150 to 148. So remember that number 148? I've told you many times about remembering that number. That is a key level for this coin, right? Main reason why it's that upper level of that point of control. It's that essential support range, or the top of that range essentially, and that's a very good thing to recognize because generally speaking we should experience a type of bounce at that level. So again, if you're going to short, don't get too crazy with the shorts. Just recognize that we may not see too much downside for Solana, but there's a great chance we will see a slight pullback at the very least before we leg up again. Now let's go ahead and discuss here the daily time frame and kind of work our way down. To kind of zoom in, we're in the middle of all these moving averages, okay? So we're above the 50, above the 200, below the 100, below the 20. The general consensus here, though, is being below the 20-day SMA. That's the trend setter, right? So until we break above that guy, we can presume the price action for Solana will either struggle, range bound, or pull back, okay? Again, it's not like it's bad thing at all. It's very normal for coins to do this, and this is very standard. It's also normal for coins that kind of top out of that 50 range to kind of taper above and below that level, letting us know that there's not really a great trading conditions right now because we're in a transition. That transition doesn't necessarily mean it has to come down. It just implies that it's trying to find its base before it either legs up again or perhaps it does pull back, right? So when we see that and we combine that with stochastic kind of loses momentum, money flow index pulling back, as well as MACD kind of I wouldn't say diverging, but it's absolutely losing its momentum, which is completely sensible considering we had 3 strong green days followed by 2 red days. I'm not super sold on Solana just taking off from here. All right, so again, we have super low volume on the weekends, never the best conditions to trade. So again, if you insist on trading, obviously make sure you go with the overall trend of the market. Right now, Bitcoin's kind of going sideways and I wouldn't say down, but it's come down, right? Effectively establishing lower highs. So we can presume the majority of the market's going to be pulling back. We can also see here, Bitcoin dominance is increasing. Generally, you see Bitcoin dominance go up while altcoins pull back. It just kind of makes sense. Having said all that, Solana here on the 4-hour time frame, we are also kind of smack dab in the middle of most moving averages, kind of testing the 20-day SMA right now, also not favorable. We can see here too, right there at 50 on the RSI, retesting that potential support level, okay? So all this kind of combined together really does not give me a lot of confidence in taking a long. While we have some support, we've already diverged on the MACD and we're gaining that momentum. So I think it's just a matter of time before the price retests 148 and possibly even comes down lower to some of these other fib levels here. Keep in mind, this is somewhat of a macro fib projection here, or essentially I have that on the charts from the most recent high to the most recent low. I haven't adjusted to this local high because of the simple fact that macro fibs can be very beneficial, right? So we know that 0.618, that 0.65 level, that golden pocket is holding as a resistance there between 162 and 165. So what I can do is I can post on our playout chart, an update regarding our more local fib levels. It'll essentially just be, that 0.236 fib kind of holding in place. Anyways, you don't have to remember all that. That's more so for me just kind of narrating out loud here. But the common denominator here is that majority of the market is looking like it wants to pull back a little bit. Okay. Now, again, it doesn't have to be extreme or massive, but I do think that we will see 148 to 150 revisited, retested. There's $2 billion in liquidation there, and the whales know it. They love to see that. And the last, 3 out of 4 Mondays have been significantly red Mondays, or at the very least, a very ugly doji type of candle that wicks up and down violently throughout the day. So I would just say, as awesome as the volatility is on Mondays, maybe if you don't want a headache, just go ahead and not trade into it, or statistically consider shorting into Monday's opening trading day, and you might find more success. Again, just statistical probability. I've traded those statistical probabilities before with great success, but also the opposite, right? So don't go hard and put everything you got into that. That's not even a thing. What should be a thing is for you to maybe consider, if you're going to use high leverage, a very small position size, expect to lose it. Or instead of doing that, be responsible, use low leverage, low position size every trade, so you're comfortable with losing X amount if you get there, right? But you're also comfortable with winning X amount as well, and those wins will be larger because you're losing less often by not getting liquidated. Just some friendly advice, things I like to throw out there to kind of help season the videos here with some best practice, because I know that's few and far between nowadays. So if we look in here, let's zoom in. This is the 4-hour candlestick closures. This is where this line came from, by the way. I don't just arbitrarily draw lines on the chart. That was essentially resistance at 155.50. We can kind of see the price action plateauing here, broke through, use that as a support. Now it broke below and essentially uses as resistance, right? So we can summarize here that 155.50, roughly, maybe 156, is a tentative resistance, that local point of control too, because you can see that point of control is right there about 154. So this range here is essentially a range that's going to compress the price. It'll inevitably break out either up or down. My money's on breaking down just because we're coming from the upside, right? Generally speaking, lower lows and lower highs kind of imply that we should see further downside. So I do think the 148 seems more likely. Is it a distinct probability? No. It's like a 60% chance, right? If I were to break it down to a statistical probability, I would say it's slightly more favorable price to go down than up. Other than that, really not much else to note. What I'll do is, again, I'll post our playout chart here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. And I do want to say thank you to a lot of people that have been reaching out, direct messaging me, saying thank you for my hard work. I appreciate it, of course. I do this for you, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to help too, because you're all a very awesome part of my life. So don't forget to hit the like button on every video. It absolutely helps grow the channel, but more importantly, get this in front of more people too. So I think everyone needs a fighting chance to be a better trader. So if you do want that for yourself, CryptoCache.tech is a site, future reference. If you're part of my community, or just so you joined recently here, make sure you read through our signals guide. Extremely important if you're going to be taking my trades. Watch my trade alerts here. These kind of give you heads up on coins that I analyze, and just kind of give you specific areas that I'm focusing on. These become trade signals. Yeah, this is kind of a segue, if you will. And last but not least, of course, probably the most important, watch the darn Trading University videos, folks. If you're not watching that, you're not learning, you're probably not going to continue to become a better trader, right? Because you always have to learn as much as you can. All right, thanks again, folks. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.